So today is watering day, and I just thought I'd throw in a few other plants that I don't normally show off. This one was a gift 5 or 6 years ago, and I almost nearly killed it. Um, like it was on the way out severely, um, but it's come back. It's quite happy. I'm looking at the. If you look at those, that's clearly where I've over fertilised when I was first trying to fix it up. But it's got lots of new growth on it again this spring. So we're in the second day of spring, which is nice um, here in Australia. So that was good. Now, I wanted to show you how these little rescue ones are going. I've repotted them again, so they're a bit more firm in the pot. But I've been mixed this with sphagnum moss. I think I mentioned that to you before. It's all misty and that because I've only just finished watering. This leaf is doing quite well. I'm sure that yellow is on here. I hope that's not going to progress like this one has. Otherwise I've really and truly lost it. But that's nice and firm, so here's hoping. This one, it had no roots whatsoever when I started to try and rescue it. Since I've had it in here, all its leaves bar this one, which is obviously on its way out, have firmed up considerably. Like they're almost as good as that one is, and that one is as my normal phals. This little fella here I've shown before. Since I've put it into the mixture of bark and moss, that new leaf has taken off like a champion. This one here was just as bad and floppy as this fella. But let's just hope that things are going to keep going. And what I'm doing, just to try and keep the humidity up in them, is that I'm either sitting them on top of or just inside of a vase, and that helps keep the humidity around them and underneath them. So since I've been doing this, and that's probably only 2 weeks, I've been quite happy with that. So that's why I'm hoping with this one I can get some sort of maybe a new leaf. I haven't shown you my cymbidiums before, so I'll just pause you and I'll take you out and show you those. And yes, they've been a disaster this year. Normally this time of year they're full of blooms. This one got knocked over and went into shock, so it's not real good. And this one has normally got 3 or 4 flower spikes that are about 4.5 foot tall. I went to a orchid show and I was talking to some of the breeders there, and they were telling me that they had a whole lot of trouble this year too, because last summer when we were having temperatures over 100 or over 45, 50 degrees every day for 10 days, that those orchids are going to shut down and I won't get any flowers till next year. So at the moment these are my pride. You can see some of them I've repotted into clear plastic pots like this that I've had to put holes in the side of, because no matter how hard I look, I can't find any pots for orchids that are perforated. Carolyn, you're very lucky to be able to find those ceramic pots that are in like a Chinese style. We can't, well, I can't find them anywhere over here in Australia other than importing them, which I'm not about to do. I don't know if I've shown you that one before, but she's a beauty. She's doing really well. Once again, repotted into, sorry about my fingers everywhere, into another clear pot. And I do like this because I can keep an eye on those roots, seeing I really am only a beginner. This one too, if you see, look carefully, it's got a new leaf starting on it down there, so I'm pleased with that. The one I was telling you about that I got at the orchid show that came, this one and the one behind it and this beauty, all came from an orchid show over here not long ago. About, really, 6 weeks ago now. This one was in moss and it just never seemed to dry out, and I don't know if you can see it. It's not so obvious now, but there's often on that leaf in particular a shiny substance. It doesn't seem to hurt the plant or the leaf, but I just don't know what it is. It's sort of like a little bit sticky, but I don't know. But since I put it into this pot, these aerial roots have stood up and seem a whole lot, just the whole plant just seems a whole lot happier. So this is the one that when I did repot it, right in the middle of all the moss was another tiny little basket that was obviously the growing pod for it when it was just a seedling that had never been taken off, so that was good. Now, the one question I will ask, if anyone can help me, these buds, that one not so bad, but the one behind it, and especially on this one here, they're just not opening properly. They just get to there, and instead of being like that one there, they just stop. Anyway, the little mini fowl, it's coming towards its end, but it's pretty. And this was Phalaenopsis vivaldi. It's the first time it's flowered, and it's doing really well. I quite like it. And if you go around the back, you can see that it's got a few more buds coming out, so I'm pleased with that. My older fowls, it's spiking, it's doing okay. It's twin brother or sister. It's got a spike on it too, and the aerial roots on this are still going quite crazy. Over here, my Phalaluria or Allure Victoria's Glory, you can see that the spike on there's developed really well. I can't wait for this to bloom because it's supposed to be scented, so that will be the only one I've got. And I've only had these since they were like, I don't know, a year or so old, 2 years old, so this is the first time flowering for this one. Also for this little one, which is called Polka Dots. My Phalaenopsis leopard, this one, is budding, and it's quite happy to be there, but its twin brother, look at that, it's really quite big. It's got beautiful markings on it, so I'm really happy with that. During watering, I think I've said before, somehow I managed to knock off the flower spike, but to me, seems to me that it's branching, so I'm happy with that. And then these three that have finished flowering and just need a little bit of extra care. So I've repotted them into those clear pots once again. As you can see, these ones, that's a bugger, that orchid, because I've had it longer than the other two that are in spike and it just hasn't spiked. So I don't know why it won't. Its roots are happy, its leaves are happy. So I'll just have to wait till next year, I suppose. This one finished flowering, new leaf going quite well. This is a favourite of mine. This one's a big white one. And can't really show you all that well. You turn it a bit. These roots, I think, are starting to become active again. So I'm happy with that. The one that had the split leaves and diseased leaves, this newest leaf is doing really well. It hasn't split. Everything seems happy. But another problem child is this one that looks okay. I mean, I know that yellowing there is a bit of a concern, but I really just think it's because it's an old leaf. What really concerns me is this, that I discovered after I bought it. It hasn't got any worse. So whether a new leaf will ever come up through that, I'm not sure. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you all. And have a great day. Bye.